The short-term car market doesn't look good, so let's get into it. I make a ton of videos about the car market and have been doing it for a very long time, and every so often I get comments on my videos saying something to the effect of,
"You YouTubers say there's going to be an auto market crash, and yet here we are with no crash."
or something to that effect. So quickly, before we dive into the car market of the next 3 to 6 months, I want to make something extremely abundantly clear. The car market has crashed, even if it may not feel like it. While new car prices are still far too high and don't really have a lot of signs of showing that they're going to decrease anytime soon, used car prices have decreased a significant amount since their post-pandemic highs. Though I will admit that we aren't at the levels that many people, including myself, would like to see them at. But despite what it may feel like or what many people may believe, we have in fact experienced a crash, and car prices have fallen pretty much across the board. But now with that out of the way, let's bring us back to the present, because as we sit here today, there are a variety of different factors affecting the car market that make right now not the best time to buy a car. First is end of month, end of quarter. As this video is getting published, it is March 28th, which is my sister's birthday. But aside from my sister's birthday, this is also one of the last days of the quarter, which means that right now is a prime time to get some solid deals. And whenever I say now, I literally mean now, as in today, Saturday, and Monday. Not a lot of time. That means that come Tuesday, April 1st, the prime time to buy a car at end of month, end of quarter, well, that time would have already passed. And that means that if you want to wait for the next best time to buy a car, well, you would probably be better off waiting until June, which is the next end of month, end of quarter. And while timing of a purchase and whether you purchase a car at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year, this is always a big deal and it should always be taken into account whenever you're buying a car. I've got to be honest, this is sort of small potatoes compared to the other factors that are affecting the car market. Because first is interest rates. Earlier this month, the Fed decided to hold rates steady, keeping interest rates at the same level that they've been since December of 2024. And thus, this is keeping car loans still very, very high. According to Experian and NerdWallet, the average rate for auto loans varies from 4.77% for new cars with super prime borrowers all the way up to a staggering 21.81% rate for people who are deep subprime borrowers buying a used car. Not great. And given the fact that the next Fed meeting isn't until May 6th, this means that interest rates are going to stay this level at least for the next month. But this is where we bring some complexity into the mix and where the car market starts to feel really confusing and extremely uncertain. Because if you are someone who is wanting to buy a car and you want to get the best deal as possible as soon as possible, truthfully, I'd probably look at buying a car in the next couple of days, certainly by the end of March. But if you are someone who is wanting to get the best rate, or if you're someone who doesn't have a good credit score and you know that your rate isn't going to be good, well, in that scenario, I would probably wait at least 6 months to buy a car, regardless of whether you're buying new or used. Because there is another Fed meeting happening in May, but there's also one in June and July and another in September. Which means that from a financing and interest rate perspective, the end of Q3 could actually be a much better time to buy a car and take out a loan because we give ourselves 3 different chances to see rate cuts between now and then. So depending on your personal financial situation and your personal timeline, you may take the evidence that I've laid out thus far and you may decide that, hey, I should go buy a car this weekend, or you may think to yourself that you should wait until the end of summer, early fall. But then there is one other major factor that kind of throws a wrench into all of these plans: tariffs. Now, I don't want to sound like a broken record here because I know the discussion of tariffs is one that is being talked about constantly, and even myself, I've made a number of videos on this topic, and I know that the subject is feeling a bit old, despite the fact that it is very applicable to today's car market. But the truth is, and I mean no exaggeration here, whenever I say that the entire car market and economy, as well as consumers throughout the entire country, are literally on the edge of their seats, in a state of limbo, waiting to see what's going to happen with tariffs long term. And in the context of the automotive industry, originally these tariffs were going to be implemented on February 1st. Then they got pushed to March, and then April, which brings us to today. March 28th, 2025. And as I'm recording this video, whether or not tariffs are going to be implemented on April 2nd and what different industries and companies they'll affect, well, it's sort of up in the air. And there is a ton of confusion, with some news outlets saying that more targeted reciprocal tariffs will make auto tariffs more unlikely. Other news outlets are insinuating that maybe it's just the big 3 that could see some leniency with tariffs. The big 3 being Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis, with some other outlets saying that Trump is pledging auto tariffs in the near future. This feels so volatile. It feels like that episode of The Office whenever Michael Scott is talking about getting a bunch of different vasectomies.
I said that I wanted to have kids, and you said that you wanted me to have a vasectomy. What did I do? And then, when you said that you might want to have kids, and I wasn't so sure, who had the vasectomy reversed? And then when you said you definitely didn't want to have kids, what, reverse back? Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap.
Now, I can't tell the future, and truthfully, I really don't know whether or not tariffs are going to be implemented on a mass scale across the auto market. I don't know if it's going to happen, to what degree, or by how much. And it seems as though the experts don't really know either, because depending on what source you look at, you get vastly different answers.
Now, I don't oftentimes do this, but I am in the middle of editing this video. This is after I've recorded it, and I have to cut in with some new information. Now, as I'm sitting here in this video, it is currently about 1 p.m. on March 28th, so it's only a couple of hours before this video is set to go live. And in the last 48 hours or so, there has been some new information that has come out regarding the tariffs, with Trump announcing that there will be a 25% tax on imported cars, light trucks, and auto parts, with the plan to have these new tariffs take effect on April 3rd, under the idea that imported cars are a threat to national security. Here's the kicker though, similar to everything that we've discussed in this video, there's a lot of confusion around this new implemented tariff as well, and it's unclear if this is going to be on top of the already 25% tariff that's supposed to be implemented on parts and cars imported from Canada and Mexico. So under this new April 3rd rule, will cars and car parts imported from Canada and Mexico actually have a 50% tariff? There are also supposed to be some exemptions here as well, though the exact timeline of those and what they will be is also unclear. The bottom line is everything that I've discussed in this video thus far is still true. But as I mentioned earlier, this tariff discussion is volatile, and I'd be willing to bet that even between when this video goes live and early next week, we'll hear new things. But you know what they say, it's not over until the fat lady sings, and in the context of this tariff discussion, I wouldn't hold your breath on anything or any direction until something actually goes into effect. And so I feel confident in saying that as of sitting here today recording this video, we still don't really know exactly what's going to happen. Now, back to the video.
But I do think that the conversations around tariffs are volatile enough, they've been going on for long enough, and they are serious enough to draw some serious concerns for anyone who is looking to buy a car in 2025. Because if you buy a car after these tariffs are implemented, specifically on tariff vehicles, well, you will certainly pay a higher price for that vehicle than you would, say, today. And so here are my closing thoughts. Because if you watch this entire video, you may have come to the conclusion that regardless of when and how you want to buy a car, it doesn't seem like there is a best time to buy one in the current market, which is kind of true. If you want or need a car ASAP, you know which one you want, and you know that a car purchase is in your near future, like in the next 30 days, I'd buy now, like as soon as you can. Lock in your purchase before tariffs are implemented, take advantage of end of month, end of quarter deals, and lock in that purchase before tariffs are implemented. Sure, if you purchase now, historically you are going to get a high interest rate, but you can still get some really competitive rates if you go to a credit union. And I think it would be a worthwhile time to buy one if you can get a decent rate from a credit union while avoiding tariffs and also taking advantage of end of month, end of quarter sales. This advice gets thrown out the window if you have a terrible credit score and if it means buying a car at a 20% rate. You should not ever buy a car at a 20% rate. However, if buying a car in the next 30 to 60 days isn't on your radar and you are instead looking to buy a car in, say, 3 to 6 months, I'd hold off, and I'd maybe even come to terms with the fact that 3 to 6 month plan may turn into a 6 to 12 month plan. The bottom line is, when it comes to the car market in 2025, things are just a bit unclear. And as someone who buys a lot of cars, as well as someone who's looking to buy a new personal vehicle, I'm taking the approach that I try to take with everything: patience. And unfortunately, I think that the people who win in this current car market are going to be the people that have patience with their purchase, especially whenever we're trying to figure everything out. Are rates going to be cut? Are tariffs going to be implemented? Are cars going to continue to get more expensive, or could they come down? The bottom line is we could be in for a wild ride here pretty soon, and the people and buyers that have patience during this process, they're going to be the ones that come out ahead. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.